I think some people forget how new the internet is in its creation, and because of that, I think people also forget how people are also very new to navigating the internet, creating content and handling things like opinions and criticisms from other people on such a massive scale. And because of that, people seem to forget that at some point in time, we are all cringe when we create content. All of your favorite famous YouTubers started off making content that was kind of cringe, kind of corny, and stuff that now we would probably look back at and think, wow, that's a little bit embarrassing. There is no manual for how to be a successful YouTuber or a successful TikToker or just a person who navigates the internet. All the videos giving tips and tricks, I mean, that's helpful and all, but there is no one magical trick for how to blow up or how to be successful or how to do really well. We were all given phones that have the ability to access mounds of information and also to share aspects of our own lives that we end up having to learn to operate and navigate by ourselves. There is no one teaching us how to do these things. We were never meant to interact with people on such a large scale like this. So nobody truly knows what they're doing when it comes to the internet. People just have to try things and see what sticks to the wall. If it does great, then great. If it doesn't, oh well, find something that does. And once we begin to remember these types of things, the actions that people make on the internet will start to make a little bit more sense. Sometimes people say that we make the wrong type of people famous. I mean, just last year, several of the biggest YouTubers were outed for being predators, creating scams, putting others in danger, and just overall being bad people. But it's not that we make the wrong people famous. It's that we put famous people or anyone with a platform on a pedestal and forget that they're human and they make mistakes. I am not saying that the kid diddlers made a mistake, by the way. I'm making that very clear. The people who do like blatantly wrong things and commit crimes, like there's no excuses for that. I want to make that very clear. I'm not talking about them in particular in this instance, but I'm saying that these people are ordinary people just like you and me, and they make stupid bad decisions that are then amplified by their massive following and presence on the internet. If this stuff happened to regular people, which it does on a daily basis, no one would know or care about it at all. Because people have followings, the whole world can then see their mistakes. And before, it used to be just people who are like them, when it was a lot more difficult to become internet famous or just a celebrity in general. It was the S-tier celebrities, the big artists, the big actors, and then at the time, the really big YouTubers who spent years gaining their following. It was just them who could do these things and have these big mess ups and have the whole world see them. But now, again, anyone can be famous. Anyone can be an influencer, anyone can gain popularity, and anyone can share their biggest L's with the entire world. People sharing their deepest, darkest secrets, their family and life drama, their horrible mistakes, the literal crimes that they commit. It's all there for people to see. And then you start to realize it's not just the famous people anymore, it's everyone. Like I mentioned before, absolutely no one knows what they're doing. So a lot of times people will end up posting cringe or stupid stuff. And again, while I'm not trying to excuse the more bad behavior, I'm just saying when you put that into perspective, it's not strange at all that we get ukulele and interpretive dance apologies, and that we get random people on TikTok trying to make and sell their dangerous, poisonous food. With everyone having the same access and power to the internet and no one teaching them how, you get to see the mistakes of every single person on there. And this also goes for the not extreme cases of people talking to minors, doxing other people's houses, and poisoning people with their food. Again, of course, those things need to be called out. But even the small, just everyday regular creators, the people who just make stupid stuff on the internet just to enjoy themselves, the young teens who make cringe TikTok dance videos, and the people just starting out their channels, the people who have horrible audio quality, you can barely hear what they're saying, or their camera quality being all fuzzy or set in position that's weird. These people who are also new to this entire concept of the internet and sharing your whole life with the world, just wanting to share their creative thoughts and their hobbies, or the funny ideas that they have, or the controversial opinions that they have. But then they get flamed immediately just because a few people on the internet deemed their content to be cringe. And then everyone else kind of jumps along the bandwagon because of course they do. This happens a lot on the internet for creators who make content specifically directed towards children or younger audiences. And these younger audiences may enjoy these creators at first, but when everybody deems them to be cringe or weird, even though it's clear that you're not the target demographic, they are immediately going to want to change those preferences. I saw a video by a YouTuber named Curse. He covers a lot of like YouTube and internet drama, and he recently made a video about a creator named Pat God. Basically some guy who goes on Discord and like roast a bunch of random people by coming up with like freestyle raps and stuff like that. I have seen his video pop up on my page like once or twice, and I think I did watch a few of his videos. I can't call myself a fan because his style is not typically really what I like to watch or enjoy. But I mean, I will give it to him that his freestyles are pretty creative, if they are, because some people speculate that they're like pre-recorded or staged or whatever. I don't know for sure. But I mean, he is pretty creative with some of his roast. I'll give him that. But anyways, Curse made a video talking about him and the downfall of Pat God. And literally this downfall is just the fact that everybody just suddenly called this guy cringe. And that's fine if you feel that way, by the way. Like, I'm not trying to say that you can't acknowledge that there are certain cringy types of content. But it's just, once again, these people act like they have never done or made a cringy video or watched cringy people or people who other people would consider cringe before. Yeah, sure, he may be corny to you and you don't like him. That's fine, you're entitled to that opinion. But bullying his fans, which a lot of them tend to be very young, into not liking him just because you find his raps cringe, I don't know, to me it just screams immaturity and jealousy that you aren't amassing like millions of views for screaming into a microphone. Again, I mean, I've seen a few videos from him before and he's just not for me. So you know what I did? I just stopped watching them. And guess what? I don't get him on recommended page anymore. It really is just that simple. Keep it pushing. As long as it's not something that's problematic, of course, okay? I'm not just saying, hey, if you don't like it, then don't watch it. To like, I don't know, just something not good happening. Like, yeah, of course, it's important to, you know, hate on it and criticize it or whatever. But if it's literally just like a personal preference where you think he's cringe because he comes up with these roasts and you think they don't make sense, just keep it pushing, man. To put so much effort into hating a person just because they're cringe, once again, screams, I do not have a hobby except for scrolling on the internet for like hours at a time and arguing with a bunch of 12-year-olds. But it's things like that that can cause children and just young teenagers who are still growing and developing their own style into not even wanting to enjoy their silly little corny cringe content that they like to make or that they like to watch. Just as we all had our own little version of corny cringe content when we were that age. Again, I mean, I don't know why we're all acting like at a certain point in time, we were all 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We didn't have some corny cringe hobbies that we would look back on now and be like, oh, that was so weird. Yeah, it's a phase, Mom. It's just, that's how it is. I have younger siblings who are slowly reaching that age, but it is something that I am consciously making sure that I don't do around them, which is make fun of their content that they like to watch or make fun of the things that they make or whatever it is. I'm very, very careful about that. Now, I have criticized children's shows before. Like, I've made a whole video talking about that and how, you know, children's content, kid-friendly content not being kid-friendly anymore. Because, you know, all children's movies or like PG movies now have to have like a bunch of curse words in it because they literally don't know how to just make a good movie with a good plot anymore and they rely on curse words to make it funny. But also just like the predatory nature of certain children's shows. Like, I have criticized content and it's not like I'm just being like, oh, it's cringe. Like, no, like I'm trying to make genuine points of A, it's either just unnecessarily vulgar and explicit for no reason because it's supposed to be for children, or B, it's very dead and dry and empty and just has no life into it. And I feel like it's kind of exploiting children's ability to just kind of watch anything with colors and sounds and stuff like that. Anyways, that's besides the point. The point is, I'm not saying that I myself don't look at some of the things that my siblings, not my children, they may as well be at this point, that my siblings may watch and that they enjoy. I do criticize it. Sometimes I'll watch it and be like, bro, what is this trash? But I'll keep that in my head. I don't say it out loud. And oftentimes, whenever new movies will come out, and my two younger siblings, my sister and my brother, they're both teenagers, they will instantly be ready to flame a movie. And guess who copies them right after that? My little sister and my little brother. Oh, it looks so cringe. Oh, the animation is so bad. Oh, I don't like it. And so like, I'm really trying to be careful and also express that to them as well, that they need to be careful about what they say around them and how they express their feelings on certain content, because they will not like it just because you talked bad about it. Even if they do genuinely enjoy it, maybe they do genuinely want to watch this movie, they're not going to want to do it if their older siblings are saying that it's so cringe and boring because, oh, I want to be like my cool older siblings. And I can't do that if I'm watching this cringe movie, because children being afraid to just engage in their silly, corny, cheesy little activities or watch their little cartoons that older people may think is cringe. It's stuff like that that causes them to want to grow up too fast, that causes them not to want to engage in those hobbies anymore. So many people have been making videos recently about the disappearance of the tween phase, the disappearance of the awkward teenager to tween to teenager phase, and that it's like the minute a kid turns 12, 13, that's it. They're just suddenly supposed to be super mature and adult. Oftentimes, we'll talk about this for young girls as well, because this pressure seems to be a lot more prevalent when it comes to young girls. Hence the reason why you have a bunch of 12-year-olds, running to Sephora to go buy makeup and skincare that they don't need, / trying to wear crop tops. But it does also happen with young boys. I don't think it happens much with things like their appearance the way it does with young girls, but the type of content they consume or the games that they play. Most of the time, that's when young boys find things like gore or just playing violent games like playing Call of Duty and Mortal Kombat at like 12 in fear of seeming like, a little baby wuss who doesn't know how to play the cool big kid games. And all of this is amplified because of this stupid cringe culture that we have going on. First it was cancel culture, and now it's cringe culture. Everything's cringe. The minute you deem something cringe, that's it. It's over. So not only are the creators being called out, but also their following, in which unfortunately in a lot of cases is children or just younger vulnerable audiences. We keep getting mad at kids for wanting to grow up too fast, but then we ridicule them for just being kids and liking and doing cringy stuff. We are actively cultivating an entire generation of kids who did not have a proper childhood. And with every comment that you make under a video talking about how cringe the creator is or the fan base is, especially if they are catered to children, in which it's obviously not supposed to be for you in the first place, that's just making the situation worse. Anything a person does can be considered cringe. I make cringe content sometimes. While editing my videos, I'm always cringing at my face and my voice, the way I say certain things, the way I look in certain videos, the stupid little skits that I try to do that are low quality because I don't know how to make them very well. These are all cringy things, but you know what? I post it and I do it anyway. Because every single time I posted, I was obsessed and worried about, wondering whether or not I look cringe doing this or whether or not this is cringe. I literally just wouldn't make content. Of course, I want to try my best to make good quality content within the range and the parameters of what I can do, but I'm not an expert at this. And just like a lot of you, I have a phone, I have an idea, and a little bit of time on my hands, and thus was able to bring my idea to life. So of course, it's not going to be super polished and super high quality. Of course, there are going to be some cringy parts. But once again, everybody on the outside forgets that fact and for some reason thinks that if I got a phone and I made a channel, my content's going to be so much better than everybody else's content, and my content wouldn't be cringe. It's going to be so good that everybody is going to absolutely care about what I have to say. All we think about is how good we'll be able to do it compared to all those other cringe people who make their cringe content, because we're all a bunch of self-centered, egotistical failed experiments of God. And of course, it is a whole lot easier to do this online when no one can actually see you or talk to you in person. These people say stuff on the internet that they would never dare say to your face, of course, because they're a bunch of wusses. Everyone immediately thinks that they can do so much better, or they will be so much better if they ever wanted to start their content, or if they are creating content, that they make it so much better than everybody else because they have the luxury of being on the internet where it's a whole lot easier to disconnect. Regardless of them probably making a whole bunch of cringe videos when they were kids, or possibly making cringe videos now, or even liking cringe creators. All of that introspection flies completely out the window because you have now put yourself on the slaughterfest that is the internet for everyone to judge you now, which they have all right to do, of course. Like, if you put something on the internet, people are going to judge it. I judge it. You judge it. You're judging me right now. It's fine. This is what we do. But I'm just saying, like, everybody suddenly thinks they're a YouTube expert that cracked the algorithm and that knows exactly how to make like the best type of content. It's like, yeah, you can judge, but just know that like when you make your content, people are actively doing the same exact thing to you, because no, you're not an expert, and no, your content isn't as good as you think it is. There's always room to improve. And again, there are probably a lot of cringy things or things that people could deem as cringe the same way you do to other people. A dragonfly, I think, just hit the window. I think that was a dragonfly. It was huge. It might have been a bird. Anyways, a lot of times these people can't even take criticism or judgments from other people or opinions from other people themselves. Lately, I've been hearing people say that Gen Z is the most easily offended yet offensive generation, which I really love that statement because it once again shows the hypocrisy of humanity, like at very essence and core. And the internet definitely has a tendency to amplify that, because on the internet, we can't really pick up things like facial expressions or body language or social cues. Social cues. It's hard to say that for some reason. So it becomes very easy to disconnect and forget that you are much like them in a way, but you're just too busy inflating your own ego to notice. And all the while you destroy other creators and their fan bases and create an entire ecosystem on the internet that if anything that someone does is even remotely cringe, or rather if a bunch of random people on the internet deem that you are cringe, whatever that standard may even be, then it's over for you. Now, look, I'm not trying to say that people can't criticize other people on the internet. And I'm definitely not trying to pull a just let people enjoy things, because expressing your critique on certain things or your dislike about certain things is not the same as just blindly hating and also bullying a fan base and a person just because you think they're cringe. Okay, those are two different things. And once again, there are times where certain aspects of a video or a style of creation or content creation or whatever does need to be talked about, does need to be critiqued. And once again, all of the creators who just do blatantly wrong things, of course, yeah, that's fine. We can go ahead and flame them, whatever. The things that cannot be deemed as accidents, right? Like, I'm not talking about just little things here and there. I'm talking about being a predator, doxing people, okay? Like, those aren't accidents. You did that intentionally. Those things we're not talking about right now. But all I'm saying is that before you go typing an entire paragraph under a certain creator's video about how cringe they are, or argue with a stranger on the internet on why their favorite creator is cringe, just remember that everyone is actively trying to navigate this weird new thing called social media and the internet, and that in no way, shape, or form is it going to be perfect. Some things are going to be so embarrassing, it makes you want to jump off a bridge, okay? But the chances are that you've made content like that of your own. And if you haven't yet, you might if you ever want to start creating a channel or a podcast or whatever it is that you want to do. Or just things you do on a daily basis. Someone has probably seen it and thought it was cringe too. So you're not exempt from that same judgment that you keep putting on other people simply because it's content that doesn't appeal to you. Because this obsession of being, like, I don't know, nonchalant or like this perfect creator that doesn't make any mistakes, which that type of person doesn't exist. It will not only stun creativity and growth with creators, but once again with their followers and the people that they enjoy watching this content, their opinions will change too, and not even for a good reason, simply because everybody else said it was cringe, so they don't want to do it. And this especially can be very detrimental to children and younger audiences who are now going to cultivate their preferences and everything that they like based on a bunch of random people on the internet who don't even care about them. Just like with cancel culture, we need to realize that cringe culture is also going too far, and that people are ruining reputations for like the biggest nothing burger of a reason. Because once again, just because you think your content is so amazing or so cool, or whoever your favorite content creator is, you think they're so much better and so cool, yeah, that's fine. But we're all cringe, okay? We all have our own cringe moments, and you just haven't had anybody that told you that yet. But you are. You're not exempt. Yeah, that's just what I want to talk about, something I've been thinking about lately, seeing a whole bunch of things go down on YouTube and being annoyed at it. As per usual, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.